become a voice in a position of power that people are listening to, then they can be manipulated easier with all the social media. A lot of people go online and are anonymous, and so if you're anonymous, you can just about say anything you want, and maybe that'll bring out a bad side of the person. They have the cancer and they have the cure.
I don't trust governments. I think they're fucking insane. Their militaries go to countries and kill poor people from their country.
If there's a zombie apocalypse, a triumph is what you want.
Motorcycle, yeah.
A scooter, I don't know, a zombie might be able to catch you. Looking at some politicians, sometimes I think maybe AI would be better.
This is very similar to, what's the robot Sophia?
What if their logic is sound, and it turns out we are?
What?
We don't serve a purpose.
Had a lot of malfunctioning satellites that are falling down the earth. For Elon Musk, America is the greatest thing that he's ever come across. And have someone like Trump, and then every decision was just based on his businesses and selfies. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you're an American first. It's not all like the movies.
And they're like, I'm not having any fun. I'm just sitting in this stupid office. You're living through someone else. Everyone is creating this dream world. My name's Edward McWilliams.
I'm Chris Arbogast.
All right, Chris, so let's see. So how's your week been? What's going on?
Well, I've had a pretty entertaining week myself.
Do tell.
Just the excitement of my motorcycle, my brand new motorcycle. I had a little bit of problem, and I had to take it back to the store to have it fixed. And they found the issue is one that they've never seen before, which isn't surprising for how my life goes usually.
And so this is your triumph?
Yeah.
What's the issue?
Just a minor brake issue. But they have a reservoir, and from that reservoir, you have brake fluid, and it just travels across the motorcycle to the caliper that operates the brake. And I keep looking for a leak because the reservoir was going empty. But with new technology and the way they do things now.
You don't find it dangerous here in Medellín?
The motorcycle?
Running around on a motorcycle?
I don't.
Because I've seen some of them.
I don't worry about those things.
End up under buses.
I don't worry about that.
Ryder was fine.
I don't worry about that stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, but from that little area of a motorcycle where they have this whole isolated system to operate the rear brake, this isn't a breakdown of, you don't have to be a mechanic to understand, that they took a line and ran that all the way the length of the motorcycle underneath of the fuel tank, the gasoline tank, to a sensor. The sensor will let you know if you don't have brakes, I guess.
Better the sensor than finding it out on Las Vegas Boulevard.
But that was the source of the malfunction of the brakes. And I never had and the sensor malfunctioned. So it never told me the brakes were bad. I had to experience it myself. So in that regard, the sensor really didn't serve its purpose.
No.
But it's okay. Everything mechanical can have a small problem. The motorcycle, I love the motorcycle.
Well,
but no, I don't worry
brakes?
about the dangers. They're there. I mean, they're real, but...
Who needs brakes? Didn't you get pulled over the other day?
Yeah.
Tell me that story.
I was just going through the park. And, hey, before, when I first came here, I didn't have a driver's license. And but I put a lot of effort into it. And
you mean a
Colombian
driver's
yeah.
license? You had a
I had a U.S. one, yes.
Right.
But I didn't have a Colombia driver's license. But the other day, I'm going through the park, and the police pull me over, and they want to see my license. I give it to them, and they have a computer, and they scan it, make sure everything is right. They ask me how much the motorcycle cost. Why is the cop asking me how much the motorcycle costs?
It's a cool motorcycle. You got a Steve McQueen motorcycle.
Yeah, it is.
It's not like a scooter. Everyone around here drives these scooters.
Yeah, 100 cubic inches.
Yeah.
125.
This is a real deal Triumph.
Yeah, motorcycle.
From England.
Yeah. I forget the name of the town where they produce Triumphs. I can't remember right now.
Well.
Look it up.
All right, so let's see. First topic I'm calling the collapse of credibility. This is something you were talking about.
I was talking about
You
that.
sent a message to me this week that stuck with me. You said, leaders lie and people swallow it. What happened to humility, to standing against injustice? So I thought we could talk a little bit about that. Trust, leadership, why do people accept these lies?
I don't know. I can't. It's not logical. Or I'm having a lot of, with the life I've lived and with things that made sense and the nonsense you discard throughout the course of your life. And now, even for me, having a pretty solid base of beliefs and values, I'm having a difficult time. Well, I won't accept a political leader that is not honest with me or with the masses. And I just really having a difficult time with that. And how that's deteriorated to this point where people accept it or they're not able to distinguish between truth and character and honesty. I just can't figure it out. I need you to help me with this.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking, like, is it a tech thing? Is it a modern society thing? Is it because everything is moving so fast it's easier to trick people? Or is it like an aging population that believes that's easier to fall into believing things because, they say stuff like, back in the day, Walter Cronkite, everyone would believe him whether, maybe there was... but it was society was much more likely to believe authority or believe people in power, and
I
perhaps
think
their
at that
character
point,
was
with
better.
Walter Cronkite, there would have been consequences if he was ever found out to have misled or tried to shade or slant a story into his own, to cater to his own beliefs.
At least he seems like he felt if he was misleading, he wasn't intentionally.
That's right. It was a sin of
he was
omission, not commission.
Probably
yes.
holding himself to a standard because
Yes.
you are the voice that people are listening to. So you feel like if you become a voice in a position of power that people are listening to, you should probably try to tell the truth, at least, instead of any sort of quick lie that'll get you like another, money for your meme coin,
Yeah.
for example.
Yes.
But that seems to be like now the position of power. You just say anything. I don't know if that's more Machiavellian or that's just sort of a result of that people have sort of turned, like the generation of Walter Cronkite maybe still believe, like they say if you read something in print, you'll believe it more than if someone tells you, just because the print carries an authority. So if they
Yes.
believe the authority, they believe the person, but then they can be manipulated easier. And now with, technology, you can manipulate people super fast with all the social media.
Yes.
You could ratchet up that manipulation, so then it opens the door for bad actors.
It's like, and I believe technology with, my children. I was the first generation of parenting, of parent, in this generation, where cell phones came into the picture, and I remember my middle daughter, her wanting a cell phone. I get her a cell phone, and she does like 10,000 texts in 1 month, and I see this. I have the bill, and I'm
Amazing.
like, how in the world, honey, what, you're not supposed to even have your phone out in school, right? Oh, I don't, Dad. It's okay. But when do you find the time to do 10,000 texts? I mean, how do you have time to do anything else?
Right.
Well, that's a big number for 30 days. But everything counted as a text, like K or whatever, it was a text. I understand that, but I mean, that seems like an awful lot of text.
It's a lot. But
And so when you go from the necessity of having to go to your next door neighbor's house and knock on a door to see if they're home, to texting them, and you still don't know whether or not they're home or not. Maybe they just don't answer you. And then it makes you suspicious. Maybe did they just not answer? Oh, it doesn't matter.
Are they ignoring me?
Or they ignoring me. Yes, exactly.
Right.
And then if you throw that to this, oh, it doesn't matter. Everything becomes, it doesn't matter. It's not important. It doesn't. So honest, the morals and character and things can be compromised. If you're in person at the door, you're not going to yell at the person. You're going to be their friend, and so that they open the door the next time. With texting and the not having to have the interpersonal connections or interface with other humans.
Yeah, I guess you could say that with a lot of people go online and are anonymous, and so if you're anonymous, you can just about say anything you want, and maybe that'll bring out a bad side of the person,
and that's what they live,
because they don't have to deal with someone coming to them into their face and being like, you hurt me, or I'm going to punch you in the face, or there's no repercussions.
Yes, and they do that a lot with children and bullying and a lot of those things. Some of those stories are tragic. I mean, just for no reason, something terrible happens to an adolescent. It's just terrible.
And that's getting worse and worse. And you see here in Colombia a lot of really young kids using cell phones. I'm talking like 6 years old,
or even younger,
3
or 4,
and
they're over to the side. And my son, for example, he's in San Diego, and he goes to L.A. and his daughter, she's 3, my granddaughter, 3.5, and her mother gave her a tablet. And so now when my son, he's disappointed because he goes there, and she's on the tablet, and she doesn't even want to take time off of the tablet to greet him after driving 2.5 hours up to L.A. or whatever it is. And I'm thinking, well, payback's a bitch, son. When you were on your cell phone, when you and your 2 sisters,
you're looking at it from a different perspective.
Yeah, wouldn't even acknowledge me. Now you know what I was talking about. It wasn't just your dad being an old fogey. Now it's your reality.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not going to listen to your complaining.
Yeah. No,
in fact, I'm actually smiling inside right now.
I didn't say anything to him. I held it all in, if you can believe
you're
that.
getting tortured now, huh? Now you know. Yeah. I guess that's probably a lot of parenting exists like that. You just have to wait until your child has children, and then
you don't even have to
just
say anything. I think he knows when after it came out of his mouth. Now he's real careful about what he lets me know.
He's become more circumspect about all that. I understand. I would be too. Well, in Silicon Valley especially, like a lot of the people who are working in these companies and in these tech companies and with building cell phones and building the apps and everything, they're more and more banning their own children from using this technology. So there's this sort of big hypocrisy that's going on where
they're building the algorithms to addict the children to
but they know that it's bad, so their own family, they're like
sheltering them from
this is way too dangerous.
Yes.
And most of people my age with children have taken in the States have realized that, and they're putting like age limits. You can't do this until you're such and such age. You can't use TikTok until you're 16 or something. And we all know that, but then we're like sending this technology around the world, like to Colombia, for example, and then no one's telling the Colombians and their kids this is like really, really dangerous. There's no, and they sort of just trust. They're going to trust Apple, and they're going to trust these big companies like Facebook, because they're like, well, someone must be, okaying this, because no one's saying it's bad.
That it's not doing anything wrong.
Right. Whereas it's not happening, and then so now you have all these kids from developing countries or countries around the world who are going to get all this negative stuff that comes from doing this is going to perpetuate as they get older, and it's going to. Meanwhile, we're creating it, distributing it, and we're like, okay, no, we're going to have half of our house not even have Wi-Fi in it because
and they're profiting from it.
Yeah.
So we get back to the love of money is the root of all evil. So it's a heck of it's a dilemma.
It's a dilemma, and then back to the whole the collapse of credibility. I think it's interesting also that, I love technology, obviously, but I think, it's like it's a double-edged sword, which aren't all swords double-edged? I don't know.
I think so. Well,
but, it's like a tool. You can use a hammer to hammer a nail or hammer someone's head, but obviously on a massive scale. But one of the positives is basically in your pocket you have a truth, like you have a way to cross-reference statements and
Yes.
and find out if something you're being told is true, and it's very easy to tell, to check multiple sources now, easier than it ever has been before. Yet more people are falling.
It's more
for the
necessary
lies.
though now, I think.
Yeah.
But I think with this technology thing and the human being, when the president of the United States can make a statement, and within 30 minutes he can make the opposite and opposite claim, which contradicts totally, and people accept that, and they've heard both of them. People are still as intelligent as they were before technology. So how is this okay? I just can't. That's what I can't wrap my head around, and I can't.
Or how do you get away with it? And has
Yeah,
this become?
that's the
can
point.
anyone
How
just get away with this?
Yes,
Just go out and lie and then change your tune, and
Yeah.
that's totally cool.
But for me, there's something in me where I'd rather pay penalties for being honest and making maybe not such a popular statement. I'd rather it be honest and not, and if it has negative connotations for me, I'll go ahead and suffer that, and I still have, it builds strength in me that I was honest.
Do you think that's more important
I
that
think it's
now
more-
than maybe like when you were a kid?
I don't know. I don't know if technology or whatever's removed. I don't know that people have that instilled in them now, because they didn't have to walk to their neighbor's door and knock on the door. They don't have to. They don't have to leave their house for a week if they don't want to, other than maybe they'll eat, and but other than that,
Well, you don't have to leave your house to eat anymore.
Well, that's
You
true,
just
too.
Order
Rappi.
Rappi, Postmates.
yeah.
Everything delivers now. I
seems
mean,
like-
after the pandemic, that just pushed everything into this
Less human
rapidly moving forward into less human way to
Yeah.
that.
It's not
push.
necessary to go, and it's not necessary to interact, and I don't know it. I don't want to get wrapped up into a conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Or,
What? You don't.
But this I
Okay,
don't
let's
believe.
do it. What's your
I
conspiracy?
don't believe.
What is-
the pandemic?
We-
I don't
we
believe
gotta
the
have one-
pandemic.
One conspiracy from you every time we do this.
Okay, that's fine. And I'll let you fucking have it, man. It's
Good.
I was a little bit slow getting started.
Yeah, that
if you
wasn't-
fucking want it, I'll give it to you.
That was pretty easy.
Yeah,
Get out of you.
And this pandemic thing, I don't believe it. I believe that there was a pandemic. I believe that people died from this virus. I believe that. But I believe, listen, and what I base my belief on, I know will seem paper thin, but you have to bear with me a moment.
Okay.
That fucking virus, it started in China, in Wuhan, in that weapons lab. It didn't start the fucking wet market right next door to the motherfucker.
You
No way,
think someone-
come on.
Someone ate too raw of a bat sandwich.
Yeah. My bat sandwich started the virus in Wuhan.
Bat wrap.
And it wasn't the weapons laboratory. Fuck that shit. I don't want to hear that nonsense. Okay? Well, and the thing that convinces
It
me...
is
Suspect.
I will admit it's suspect.
Thank you,
That
Edward.
there's a weapons market in the wet market, or weapons
weapons
lab
lab.
in the wet market.
Yes.
Or really
Adjacent to.
it is a little
Suspect.
That's suspect. So okay, I'll give you. It's
Thank
not
you.
totally paper thin.
Point one. Well, I'll get to the paper thin part.
Okay. Point one.
I said, this is a setup. I said
We're at a ping pong table, so you got that one by me.
So the paper thin will come. All right.
Okay.
So, and I believe people died, but I believe that there were controlled. I believe governments. I don't trust governments. I think they're fucking insane, and their militaries go to countries and take poor people from their country, make them soldiers, send them to other countries to kill their poor people. Now that's a fucking reality too. I think that's point two scored for me.
I'm not disagreeing
and
with
then-
that one.
And then the final thing, so I don't get fucking carried away here, is that I was in the United States and they said that there was a shortage of toilet paper. This is the paper thin thing that is the nail in the coffin for me. That
The paper
proves
thin
that
is literally about toilet paper.
conspiracy by 6 or 7 fucking governments that said, "Hey, we're going to say this is a conspiracy or a pandemic, and we're going to make it a pandemic, but really we control it all, and let's just see how much control we can have over the people." Because when they took toilet paper away
So
from
wait, are you
Americans-
saying this was just a conspiracy on the part of the toilet paper lobby
no,
to sell Charmin,
No.
Charmin, the Charmin
the
conspiracy?
toilet paper is the only thing that they decided, these 7 people or however many, maybe it was 20 people, that decided that what can we do to see the effects of all of the people, the populace of the world. I don't know. We can't make them all get haircuts. We can't send them all to the fucking dentist or anything.
Yeah.
We can't flatten all their fucking tires
hippies.
on their car. But we could take their toilet paper away. A shortage of toilet paper. Fucking great idea. That's what we're going to do. And I verified that because I left the United States where there
You
was no
verified
toilet
it?
paper.
Yeah.
And when it was during the pandemic, I came here to Colombia in 2020.
There's no problem with going to get toilet paper.
They had a shortage of toilet paper here in Colombia also,
Oh, they
just
did.
like the United States. So
Okay.
it was a global. So
It was a global. Okay.
Yes.
It was a global toilet paper shortage.
And that's all it took to convince me that, hey,
This
this
is why-
isn't a conspiracy.
Is this why you said your theory was paper thin?
Exactly, Mondo.
This is
Yeah,
toilet
fuck yeah,
paper?
it was.
All right.
It was a setup.
Good work,
You
Chris.
fucking blew it. Yeah.
Sorry, I blew it. Okay. I'll lay back more next time.
Motherfucker, man. Yeah, exactly. You got to keep bringing that up. Paper thin. Yeah, it was all related
Yeah, that's right.
to the toilet
I was
paper.
just harping on that whole idea. I'm
That's
not even
my-
listening to
the
your
toilet paper conspiracy
Okay.
proven to not be a conspiracy any longer. For me, it's fact. The toilet paper made it a fact that it was a.
And so the toilet paper was in order to
Just
see if they were being effective.
Listen, how stressful is it to not have fucking toilet paper for everybody on the planet? You use the restroom, you need toilet paper, and you don't have any. Is that stressful? Yes or no?
Always.
Always.
You gotta-
for everyone. That was the
You
one
gotta
thing.
shout to somebody, lean out the door.
You got all kinds of.
Nobody's there. You got to crab walk to another
There's all
restroom.
yes, exactly.
You
All
got to get
sorts of-
creative.
all sorts of creative things you have to come up with. If you're
We don't have to go
if you
there, but
don't-
we can.
Yeah.
We can let people imagine. You
Yes,
know.
they've all been in the situation.
Yes.
And there's nothing more
Very
stressful
human.
than that.
Very human situation.
Yeah, and that's what they came up with. It caused stress. It kept them. Fuck it, I'm staying in the house. I don't have toilet paper. Fuck it. That's how people did it.
Well, you said you had heard or thought that there's maybe they're whipping up another virus in their pandemic kitchen over there.
Supposedly
And so-
China, a lot of the news has China that they're withholding information about that they're isolating cities right now. I don't know how accurate that is.
So what do you think will be the next?
I don't know.
Like,
I
wait
think, listen,
Like what'll be the
I
next
think
toilet
I
paper?
think Trump with his tariffs, they fucking crippled China. Oh, that hurt him.
Yeah.
They were talking about, China's a communist country. They've got control over their people. They're not going to work. Bullshit. They've got 1 billion and some odd number of people to feed in that fucking country.
Their economy hasn't been as great as it was
And
before the
economy
tariffs.
was functioning twice as good as theirs,
Yeah.
and they're the closest one
it's
to
a
us
rocket.
economically. Mm-hmm. And we've only got 300 million people to feed. So this thing that it's a communist country, they don't have to worry about the regulations and things, and they can hold out longer than the United States.
Yeah.
Bullshit. They were falling to pieces pretty quickly. They were trying to keep it quiet like they could withstand. So they can't do
Well,
it.
they still have a lot of people in poverty. I mean,
Exactly. But the point was, and to answer your question so I don't forget,
Yeah.
was that, yes, Trump will piss them off, and the Chinese will throw another pandemic in the fucking way
Oh,
and
I see.
crush his presidency. And there goes his coup and military coup and dictatorship and taking over the United States.
Mm-hmm.
China's gonna save us.
yeah. They have the cancer and they have the cure
Yes,
all wrapped
exactly.
into one. All right, so I saw something else that I thought was interesting. So this is a concept that hotels are made for see if I can explain this.
This is a good one.
right.
I've got some ideas on what hotels are made for.
Yeah. So okay, take some of those ideas you're thinking of what hotels are made for.
No, I don't think we
don't but also, you check into a fancy hotel and they're like give you a bottle of champagne or something, and they have a wine cellar with 800, bottles of wine. And then you go to the gym of the hotel, and it's some crappy repurposed room that has like only, weights.
3 machines or something.
3 machines and those little tiny pink weights for
yeah.
mall walking. So the theory is that these hotels are made for the older generation who are mostly alcoholics, really, when it comes down to it. And no, I'm just kidding. They're not mostly alcoholics, but that hotels are not made in a way that is very fit or very healthy, and the younger generation is healthier than the older generations. Less people are drinking, more people want protein bars, more people want food that is not decadent, which I guess you would think a hotel perhaps the idea of a hotel is a little bit of a decadent place, not a place where you go to get healthy. It's a place you go to, I don't know, on vacation, like all the rules go away. And so, but they're saying that younger people are not wanting to stay in hotels as much because all the wealth is with the older generations who want their hotels to be decadent. So the younger generations are having trouble finding places to stay that fit this lifestyle, this new sort of healthy lifestyle.
Well, all I can keep thinking of when you're saying this, there are exclusives in hotels, in the major hotels. Like, for example, when we would go to Philadelphia to my son's school, my wife and my 2 daughters, we would get the private floor where you had to have the key for the elevator to even stop on the floor. The floor doesn't even have a number. And that was for the security. And when you get to your room, your children, they are free to go to the lounge, and there are, fruits and games and movies and everything for them. And I'm sure that they have, I've seen hotels that accommodate vegans and all sorts of different healthy lifestyles. So maybe it's if they're complaining about the older generations having all the wealth, maybe they just don't have the money for the exclusives that the hotels offer. Maybe they should devote a little more time into a little bit of work. Maybe their work ethic is the problem. Maybe the solution is a little bit more work and to go ahead and go into the fucking office.
Yeah.
Instead of hanging out in their living room and completing their work in an hour and a fucking half.
Yeah. And then maybe the hotel would build a bigger gym for these people. Yeah,
exactly. Maybe they have that gym, but it costs you a little bit of money.
You need another key.
They're exclusive, yes. But all hotels offer that, and it's like the exclusive clubs of Dallas, Texas. If you go to, the wall slides and lets 4 of you in, and you are in an exclusive club so those things are available, I think. I don't think it's fair to say they're not available, but maybe they're either not aware of them or they don't have enough money to access them. I'm sorry.
Maybe they're just young, and so
Yeah, and they're not aware of it.
They want to be catered to because they're like, hey, where's my protein bar?
Well, for a couple bucks, I'll give you one. Hey, I know that's old school.
It is old school.
That's old school, man.
Well, that's the topic, It's like
you want a protein bar, man? Give me $2.
It's like gotta go put on your dad's tuxedo or something.
Yeah. Pull up in a town car. Don't pull up in the LSC.
Yeah, or in a scooter.
Yeah. I hate those fucking scooters. Even here in Medellín, I don't like them. And I like everything in Colombia.
Yeah. Well, now the police have them, so it's a weird.
Yeah, the policeman we saw the other day pulled over a motorcycle.
Yeah,
with one.
She's on a scooter.
It was headed the wrong way, and I guess she fucking blocks it off. I don't know how she got it to stop.
She's given a ticket. She's real. She might be on a scooter, but you still have the ability to. I don't know if she had a.
She has the authority.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that was beneficial or where you were going with that.
I don't know. I'm just a topic. Some will work better than others.
Yeah.
I just saw crawling around on X and being like, that's an interesting take.
Let's see what we come up with some
let
hotels.
me throw this one in
then
in the machine. See what comes out.
Then I gotta slander. I gotta slander all of the what is that generation? The ones that are on the scooter. There's 22, 24. What are they?
Well, yeah. There's they're X, and then there's Alpha. I don't think Alpha is maybe 20 and younger.
So I've offended all of them.
Yeah.
Give me.
You offended all of our.
Our
yeah, come on, Generation X. Yeah. Show up.
That old fuck. Yeah. That fucking guy doesn't know shit.
Gonna have a scooter army on you.
Yeah. There's a lot of them here.
Yeah.
If they unite, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, and you can't run from a scooter. It just
we
goes
know that he has
around.
a Triumph.
Yeah, you can run, I guess, on a Triumph. Scooter can't catch
I'll
you.
run over him.
I was saying like motorcycles.
No, I won't. I won't run over.
Yeah, scooters. I don't know if scooters are the best. We were saying
defense. Hey, it's
if there's a zombie apocalypse, a Triumph is what you want.
Motorcycle, yeah.
You want a motorcycle because the cars are just gonna pile up on the freeway, one wreck,
you can
and
go around the
yeah.
motorcycle.
The scooter, I don't know, a zombie might be able to catch you on a scooter.
Fucking hit him with a wooden piece of tree limb or something. I mean, the tires are only that big.
Yeah,
you can
that's right.
stick your foot under it and
You can't
trip 'em up.
you can't off-road too much with the scooter.
No.
Go and get on the beach. You won't go very far.
No.
Could Triumph could you go down the beach in Triumph?
Steve McQueen, man,
Oh,
and racing in California on the beaches on a Triumph.
Yep.
Yeah, that's scramblers. That's where they come from.
That's made for the beach.
Oh, yeah, Edward.
Take your dad's tuxedo to the beach wedding and your
Yeah.
Triumph.
Jump on your Triumph and dig around in the beach.
Yeah, get weird.
I mentioned Steve McQueen. We have to edit that. Great.
No, we don't have, no, Steve McQueen is allowed.
Is it? Okay, thank you.
He's a public figure. One day we'll be able to get AI to create him, and he can come join us and tell us exactly about some of those
moments.
So, speaking of Steve McQueen and AI-generated stuff, there's some news in from Brazil that Brazil elected a mayor in some town in Brazil named Alex, and the mayor is AI.
Did they know that he was AI before they elected him? They knew he was an entity, an AI entity.
They knew he was an AI, yeah.
And they elected him the mayor.
Yep.
This is very similar to, what's the robot, Sophia? And I hate that bitch.
And you got Alex, the mayor.
And you got Alex, the
Down
mayor,
in
now in Brazil. And Sophia over in Saudi Arabia.
So, yeah, there's
I don't
two.
know how I feel about that. What are they saying, Edward? Is this...
well, they're just talking about... I mean, I think what it brings up is will AI become politicians, like a leader, and...
He's not prone... Is he prone to bribery or to...
Well, he's prone to some... Here's another thing that... I guess he's not prone to bribery, but
is he honest in his policies, and he does things for the people and the town?
I guess that's how he's trained, and some people are going to throw their, hat in that ring.
To see.
And looking at some politicians, sometimes I think maybe AI would be better.
I got a couple of them in mind I'd like to replace with AI right now.
Yeah. And I guess if you could train an AI on morality, and, obviously there'd be the question of could you trust that it's not going to
kill you. Like Sophia.
Right. Is it the end of human leadership? Like, one day the whole level of government be actually just these AI?
But if that happened, wouldn't we all, the humans, we would be slaves to whatever AI tells us?
Not if they were, supposedly, well,
morally,
not if if it's following what it's programmed to do. Like if you program in the Constitution and all the laws, but
and then it's,
and it wouldn't accept bribes, and lobbyists wouldn't matter anymore. But obviously, a lot of companies would not want that to be
Yeah, so
large companies exist. They have armies of lobbyists that
How
are
many of
basically bribes, right?
yeah. But how many of these products are we going to need once AI takes over?
What do you mean by products?
I mean anything. Like
Like
tires, cars. You're not going to have jobs to go to.
yeah,
Tools.
right.
Well,
the
robots can just use their fingers.
Yeah.
And torque shit. They'll know torque values and everything. They won't
Yeah,
even need
their
tools.
like hand will spin around,
Yeah, but torque values, like if you have a torque wrench and you put 120
Yeah.
pounds of torque on a nut.
Yeah, it'll just know that
it'll know it, yeah.
immediately.
So I don't know what lobbyists for products that humans
That
aren't even
won't
using
yeah.
any longer.
Right.
We don't even need them.
So it's about to be
And then
entire just masses
And then
living in an
AI
old system.
and robots would just identify humans as they serve no purpose. We don't need them. Why have them around? I mean, they're just
What
an
if
annoyance.
their logic is sound and it turns out we are?
What?
We don't serve a purpose.
That's what I mean.
And you were like, wow. They break it down to us, and we're like, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, just
But we
go ahead and
made
chop my head off.
Yeah, that's right.
It's okay. I understand.
You're
You've
right. I
convinced
actually,
me.
I am a suck on the whole like
Yeah.
environment.
I'm a Chinese fuckhole. You're a real Chinese fuckhole, aren't you? Yeah, I guess so.
I'm not sure what that means. I guess that's the AIs.
Yeah.
But we did create
snorted like a pig.
AI.
I snorted like a pig.
Yeah, your AIs, you're done.
Yeah.
AI's gonna be like, what was
I'm
that?
one of the first. Yeah.
That meat bag.
I'm one of the first ones to go.
Yeah, making weird noises. We don't know. This is not.
We're not gonna have that shit. Not in our
Yeah.
fucking artificial environment.
Yeah.
In our artificial intelligence, you fucking meat bag.
Well, then there's that. There's that old thing that or not old. I mean, everything is new. But
Wow. Hold on a minute. Let me.
Are you
let me
still? You
grab-
gotta see. AI wouldn't need to take so long to reset.
Yeah.
We'd have been on like topic number 12 by now. We would have solved all of these things.
Yeah. Plus read some CAT scans for brain tumors.
Yeah, we
and
would've-
shit,
yeah.
radiology.
Just cured cancer on the side.
Yeah. By the way, here's the results of your 330 CAT scans from the Cleveland Clinic
Yeah.
and John Hopkins.
Yeah, we would have given it to you sooner, but we have this meat bag snorting over here.
Yeah, like a pig. The web that we weave, Edward.
The web that we weave. We, you and me,
Yeah, the web,
or
like a
or
spider.
humanity.
The I don't know. I think right now me.
The web that you weave.
Yeah, the web I wove.
The web that
The
I
web
weave.
that I wove.
The web that- You got caught in your own web.
Yeah, I've woven this.
I got caught up in my web.
I got up my own web that I wove. The web that I wove. What? Never mind. Okay, what was it, Edward?
Let's see. Rewinding.
Then what do you got in this fucking water, man? It's got bubbles and shit in it. I think whatever. Look, yours doesn't have that. Look, you thought
I know.
I was kidding about.
Of course not.
There's some kind of substance in this fucking thing.
Yeah, I'm not drinking that water that you have.
Ugh.
This is two different
There were-
sources.
No, it's same source of water. Just the cleanliness like your glasses do. And this is one that, what's the cleaning lady's name?
So, anyways.
You fucking pick one, Edward doesn't.
Okay, what do you think about, for example, it's so easy to get a loan if you're going to be a student, right, for school.
Okay.
And it's difficult to get a loan for a business if you're going to start a business.
Yes.
However, we don't even know if there's going to be any schools anymore, any students. So what's going to happen there?
I think
When your magic 8 ball till like
the hope of humanity is what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Why
Is
don't
there
we
any
just?
hope left for humanity?
I mean, why not just talk about the hope of humanity? Like, what are we going to talk? What else? What else would you talk about these days in a podcast other than the hope of humanity?
I know someone that is ready to give up on life, and he's got he doesn't need a loan at all.
Okay, that's cool.
Elon.
Oh, okay.
Elon
No,
Musk.
I thought you were talking about someone in
His sales are down 76% in Europe for Tesla.
He's back on his main quest, though. That's what he says.
Yeah, and what is that? SpaceX?
No,
Listen, he's got a.
What is that? Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking Tesla, but he's got all sorts of quests.
Starlink had a lot of malfunctioning satellites that are falling down the Earth to Earth.
Oh, really?
They've got 100 now that they need to recall because they were sent up.
They probably just shot them up too quick just to beat.
Yes, to do it, and they're
it.
malfunctioning. They're not able to do what they need to do.
They're still far ahead of the competition.
Yeah, but they're
because
losing
of their
so many satellites
government contracts. Yeah,
they're not necessarily going to be.
So they got to better replace them faster than they lose them.
And they can't. And then
because it still doesn't make
another
sense.
Spaceship blow up on launch or on the ground.
A lot of spaceships blowing up.
He's had quite a few late in a month. I think 3 or something. So supposedly he's really having a tough time. And then
Starlink doesn't quite make sense yet for if you live in a populated rural. If it does if you're in a rural or if you're going off grid, but I looked into it, like our Claro and the companies here still we get faster internet than you would get with Starlink.
You get with that? Yeah.
They need to continue. It'll probably take another year or 2 years before they get it. They have to get a lot of more satellites up there, and there's thousands. And if they're losing them,
yeah, we need to research that a little bit. But I was just throwing that out there to be, an anti-Elon guy for a minute. But the student loans.
I hope he goes back on his main quest and gets.
Yeah, but because
some of this stuff is cool. I love rockets. I want to see these things succeed just because. I like space and rockets and technology, and I love Starlink because that means if it works, you can go live on your boat in the middle of the ocean.
But
just
for him to
freedom.
come into the United States government, and have someone like Trump, and then every decision was just based on his businesses and his self-interest, is very offensive to me.
That was so obvious.
Yeah, and
I mean, at least back in the day, they would hide it or hire a lobbyist.
Exactly, and he didn't need to do that. He had no reason to do that. It had already worked well for him. America was already great before Trump. For Elon Musk, America is the greatest thing that he's ever come across.
It's like, oh, maybe I'll just conquer politics now, too. And you're like, just chill out.
I don't know, but he isn't. There's no charisma at all about that guy as far as I'm concerned. He dresses like a hillbilly in the Oval Office with a kid that picks his nose. And no one has brought up that kid picking his nose. That he wasn't well behaved.
Now someone's brought it up. You just brought it up.
You're fucking right. I'll bring it up, and go ahead and write me nasty that the child shouldn't have been in the Oval Office. All children pick their nose, I guess, but not in the Oval Office. That's the only one that's ever been in there picked his nose.
Yeah, Trump doesn't allow his children in the Oval Office.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Not
just
anymore.
Kidding.
No, he doesn't.
They're grown up.
I'm just wondering what. Yeah, he's not. I've never seen Donald. And Trump wasn't happy with that little fucker in there picking his nose.
No.
And who dresses like the fucking Matrix? You know what I mean? What? Because you're a billionaire, you wear a long fucking draping fucking.
Well,
black.
they were all angry at Zelensky.
Exactly.
For wearing his country's at war.
And Zelensky is the president of a country at war, and there was no shame for Zelensky and his meeting with Trump and J.D. Vance and the reporter that asked him about the suit. Do you own the suit?
Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend.
Yeah. You talk about.
I don't know what his name is.
That was an embarrassment for the United States. I'm not happy with that at all. And as far as a Trump supporter or not supporting Trump or whatever, listen, there's a Constitution of the United States. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you're an American first. And that's what our whole premise is based on, is the Constitution. And this fucking guy is about a third eggplant and doesn't follow the rules. This guy, everything about his history shows that he doesn't follow the rules. We have rules, and you have to follow the rules.
No, I think he's proud that he doesn't follow the rules.
Yeah, he thinks and I just...
And a lot of people that voted for him, probably there was a good thought that, okay, politicians are politicians, so let's see someone who's different. And then, turned out,
to be a
be
fucking
even
criminal,
worse.
womanizing, there's something not right with the guy. It's too bad. I don't know how he tricked half of the fucking country to vote for him, but he did.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Elon Musk's Starlink satellites are dropping like flies from space, and this is the big reason. That was on 12 days ago.
Oh, so you looked it up. Okay, great.
Says the sun is very active right now. It's burning them up. You would think they would.
Yeah, exactly. Put a
Sun's
fucking
pretty.
solar panel on
The
fucker
sun
that
is
charges
always
the battery.
very
Yeah.
active. That's its whole.
Like an idiot.
That's its whole deal. It's active. Thankfully,
So
we have another billion years
they
at least,
justify
if we can last.
Don't they? They justify everything. And when the reality is, they just didn't foresee the necessity to protect them from the sun. Because, yes, the sun's always active. But they cover up their own inadequacies by justifying, oh, it was this. No. Come on. Hold yourself accountable.
Well, there's that
Make a difference.
there's so much competition that they justify getting ahead, getting the product built and shipped, even if it
Has some problems.
has problems,
They've
because
done that
now
how many
then they've
times
got
with
their foot in
iPhones
the door.
and
Yeah,
things. Yeah. I will work those out.
that's become the way it is. Apple was different than that, but that's how they became one of the biggest companies, or the biggest company in the world,
By not prematurely putting their products out.
by watching all the mistakes that other people had, and then holding back, which holding back is a difficult thing to do for a company.
Yes.
You get a lot of people are like, oh no, we're going to lose our opportunity. But Apple held back, and then they built something that was better than everybody else because they would see all the ways everything failed.
Yeah.
But that's a very rare
Quality.
And maybe in the modern world, instant gratification is such a major driver that people can hardly, they're so worried they're going to lose out because they're on Instagram seeing all people have all this fun, and they're like, I'm not having any fun. I'm just sitting in this stupid office doing my job, and look at all these people on the beach, not knowing that everyone only presents the fun pictures,
Yeah.
Like that person is not always having the time of their life, and then having it like
That's
AI
the perspective
corrected.
of America for the rest of the world,
Yeah,
or used to be.
explain.
Well, we're the freest country in the world. We have the most opportunities, the richest country in the world ever. And, when, for example, Colombians made their way to Chicago, they said, fuck this shit. It's cold and I don't like this. I'm going back to Medellín. I don't need this shit. And 50% of whoever went in the cold climates came back to Colombia. But they were told that, the streets are paved in gold. Well, they're not. And I think Hollywood and pictures, they always show a middle-class family in the United States in a $350,000, $500,000 home in the suburbs somewhere. And it's not that way.
Yeah, a lot of those homes that like in a romantic comedy where like the broke artist is living, and then you're like, wait, that's in Soho, New York. That's $14,000 a month.
Yeah. And
Or
how's
more.
the starving artist doing that?
Yeah, but it's romantic for the
Yeah.
And there is definitely that the dream. You're watching a dream.
But if you
so
look at
people
TV
believe that.
in Hollywood, and listen, everybody wants Hollywood movies. The United States and Hollywood, they do the best movies ever, and they're always the production it's the best.
Yeah, and you want to have, there's obviously all sorts of types of movies, but in a movie that's kind of like romantic comedy where you're living through someone else's dream. You want to get the set design to be the top, like all the glasses are gonna be Tiffany's. Like everyone is creating
Yeah.
this dream world that's beautiful, and okay, there's a guy who works in a bookstore who's able to date Julia Roberts, which obviously would never happen, but because it's Hugh Grant,
Yeah.
then of course that's gonna happen. But you suspend your disbelief because you're like, okay, we're gonna go for a ride for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And
but it's effective, I wonder. There was this thing. The United States government owns a lot of TV time, and they trade that back to variety shows or what are the series like Friends or something like that. Sitcoms. I can't believe I can't remember sitcoms. But the government will give them that time back to them to sell for in advertising or whatever. And if they write into the storyline something that is a public service message that the government approves, and they'll give them so much airtime that they already own. The government's entitled to so much airtime in the United States, and they don't use it. They give it back because writers will write into their scripts in a sitcom or whatever some public service.
Yeah.
Well, that is just propaganda. That's craziness. There we go again with money and ideology.
It's like an advertisement, basically.
Yes. And they write
with
it in
an advertisement,
but
you
they gain more money. They get more.
Yeah.
In an advertisement, it's an advertisement.
Yeah.
But this, you don't know that you're slowly being indoctrinated by a government. Now, did you ever experience that, or are you aware of that? That there's time?
Well, I never worked in TV.
Okay.
So in movies, you don't have that. That's
that type of relationship.
Thing. Yeah, I mean,
but we can Google that.
Advertisements, like the famous one would be Aston Martin and James Bond, or when there's a Coca-Cola,
but these are like
the label
don't
out,
smoke, or maybe it's abortion rights, or maybe it's
this is more an ideology.
Ideology, and we need to Google that the same as we did the Starlink satellites, and see if
Google that. You're so old school.
What do you do, sir?
No one says Google that anymore.
What do you say?
I don't know. They don't have a new word yet. It's Chat GPT it. I don't know.
Let's fact check that.
Fact check. Okay.
Let's fact check that.
All right.
Let's fact check it. Up with the king's cock. Thank you, Edward.
That's a complicated thing to fact check.
Government time given back to studios to promote ideology, government ideology. Given back to TV stations, ABC, CBS, NBC.
No.
I don't know how you would condense it into a...
Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, it's interesting, the ideology. Everyone says, like, speaking of, what America is,
there's something wrong with
land of the free.
If we're not
but as long as you agree with what my idea is,
then we're in sync that we're all free.
Yeah, but if you don't agree with it, then I'll take away your freedom to do what.
Yeah, and that's my point, that the movies successfully, they work on Americans and they work on people in other countries as how they view America.
Yeah,
they're effective, and
it's our greatest export.
Yeah, and I tell people it's not
Coca-Cola.
It's not all like the movies show. It's not. There are a lot of listen. They did a thing. McDowell County, West Virginia, is a coal mining part of southern West Virginia, and they did. And then next to Washington D.C. is Alexandria, Virginia. It's one of the wealthiest counties in the whole country. And then less than 200 miles away in southern West Virginia, across the Appalachian Mountains, is the poorest county in the whole country. Now, the contrast, and it's I've seen both of those, and it's I can't even describe or outline.
This is going to be our very awkward ending to the podcast.
Thank you, Ed.
Bye-bye.